Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yan was suspended in the night sky. His eyes looked towards the spot where the black shadow had disappeared towards. He frowned slightly. This person did not directly exchange blows with him. Therefore, he was unable to probe the other party's strength. However, that unusual green light caused him to feel some danger. I wonder where this person has come from. Why did she attack Zi Yang? Xiao Yang softly muttered to himself. Currently, an increasing number of experts were attracted to the ancient remains. There was an unknown number of hidden experts amongst them. It seemed that they really needed to be careful during this trip. A couple wind-splitting sounds suddenly appeared while Xiao Yang was in deep thought. Immediately, a couple of figures swiftly rushed over. Their bodies paused when they were passing by. Their sharp eyes swept over Xiao Yang. There is the aura from that person here. Do we need to bring these people back for interrogation? The few figures paused. A fierce-looking young man's nose twitched slightly. His eyes contained a fierce glint, as he suddenly looked towards Xiao Yang and said. Xiao Yang's eyes carefully observed these four people, who had appeared. All of their auras were quite strong. 3 amongst them had reached the peak of the Do Zone class. The one leading them was already in the Do Zun class. An obvious dark and chilly aura lingered over them, causing one to be afraid of slighting them. Members of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Xiao Yang swept his eyes before pausing them on the special vertical pupils of these people. He narrowed his eyes as he muttered to himself within his heart. That scent has fled into the mountain forest. It is likely that she has exchanged blows with this person. The grey-robed old leader glanced at Xiao Yang in a hesitant manner. He could sense that the latter was also an elite Do Zun. It was best not to cause any additional trouble at this moment. Hence, he shook his head and directly turned his eyes towards the mountain forest, where the black shadow had disappeared towards. He waved his hand and said, "Chase." He took the lead to move after uttering those words. His body transformed into a black shadow that rushed towards the forest. The 3 large men, with a murderous aura all over their bodies, closely followed from behind. The tribe members of the 9 serene deep-ground python are a little overbearing. Xiao Yang sent off this group with his eyes while laughing coldly within his heart. If his strength was a little weaker today, it was likely that these people would really choose to bring him back first before talking. Looks like the black shadow person from earlier should be the mysterious person who has turned the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe upside down recently. However, why would she attack Zi Yang? Xiao Yang mused for a moment while carrying this doubt within his heart. After which, he turned around and returned to the mountain top. At this moment, everyone on the mountain top had already been awakened due to the unexpected situation from earlier. Little fairy doctor's group hurriedly went forward to meet Xiao Yang upon seeing the latter's return. Xiao Yang landed and explained the matter earlier. Everyone had stunned faces when they heard that the attacker earlier was the mysterious killer, who had caused an uproar recently. Doesn't that fellow purposefully target the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe? Why has she suddenly placed her focus on Zi Yang? Little fairy doctor knitted her brows slightly and softly asked. Xiao Yang also shook his head. He glanced at Zi Yang and laughed. Perhaps the other party has treated this girl as a 9 serene deep-ground python. Who would be those smelly large snakes? Zi Yang curled her mouth. She immediately rubbed her brows and a solemn expression flashed across her small face. She said, "When the green light from that fellow shone over earlier, I feel like I was almost controlled by it. However, it is fortunate that I have the protection from my bloodline. Even though I will not be completely controlled by her, I will still lose my defensive ability for a short period of time." Xiao Yang's group was clearly startled when they heard these words. Zi Yang had merely come into a single contact with the black shadow person earlier. Yet she was actually nearly controlled by the other party. This person is really strange. She is actually able to control one's mind. Since when did such a mysterious expert appear in the Central Plains? Why have I never heard of such a person before? Tian Huazunja frowned and said. Damn it, I will definitely burst her head the next time the old me meet her. If anything happened to this little grandaunt, the old me will also get into trouble. Xiong Zhon cursed. Xiao Yang revealed an expression of deep thought. He exchanged looks with little fairy doctor and softly said, Xiao should avoid running around during this period of time. She will follow beside us. This person is too strange. Moreover, she has an unknown origin. We must not allow her to gain any opportunity. Based on my guess, those experts from the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe, who had disappeared, have likely been controlled by her. What? Everyone's faces paled from shock when these words sounded. There were some Dozun class experts from amongst those 9 serene deep-ground python experts that had disappeared. If that person was even able to control a Dozun, that would be a little too terrifying. Originally, I am able to stop her. However, an elite Dozun has stopped me at the critical moment. That elite Dozun's Do Chi is tilted towards the dark and chilly side. It is similar to the expert from the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe earlier. Therefore, Xiao Yan voiced his thoughts. This kind of ability to control others is something that I have never heard before. Even some of those sonic Do technique that could confuse one's mind would have difficulty completely controlling an elite Dozun. Little fairy doctor shook her head and said. Xiao Yang also nodded. This world was indeed filled with mysteries. It was likely that the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe would suffer greatly by provoking such a mysterious person. Everyone should be more careful during these few days. The ancient remains will open the day after tomorrow. At that time, we will enter it at the earliest possible time. Otherwise, things will be troublesome if the soul baby fruit ends up being taken by someone first. Xiao Yang looked all around him and spoke in a deep voice. Understood. Everyone replied in unison upon hearing this. After that night's chaos, no other unexpected situation occurred. The sea of people on the Bone Mountain range multiplied. The noise similar charge into the clouds. Countless number of people were waiting for the ancient remains to open. 2 days quietly flowed by like the sand between one's fingers amidst this anticipation from the tens of thousands of gazes. By the time a ray of morning light scattered down from the sky and broke through the darkness covering the mountain range 2 days later, the mountain range, which had become a little quiet, had basically erupted into an earth-shaking liveliness in an instant. Rushing wind sound appeared from all directions. Numerous human figures rushed towards the middle of the mountain range like locust. Xiao Yang's group on the mountain top was also fully prepared. Due to the entry into the ancient remains being too dangerous, only Xiao Yang's small group would be entering it. The disciples from the Falling Star Pavilion and the 2 elders would remain here and wait for them. Although many felt regretful at not being able to enter this rarely seen ancient remains, no one objected to Xiao Yang's order. Currently, the latter had gradually established his own prestige within the Falling Star Pavilion. Xiao Yang stood at the side of the mountain top and looked at the human figures from all directions. He involuntarily shook his head. It was unexpected that this ancient remains actually had such a frightening attraction. Let's go. Xiao Yang did not hesitate much. He waved his hand and his body took the lead to transform into a ray of light that rushed towards the middle of the mountain range. Little fairy doctor and the rest followed closely behind him. At this moment, a liveliness that was quite shocking had undoubtedly erupted in the Bone Mountain range. The origin of these life force was the countless number of human figures flying in the air. Under this kind of frightening atmosphere, even the kind of dark and cold aura unique to the Bone Mountain range had been forcefully diminished. With Xiao Yang's exceptional perception, he could sense those vague aura around the mountain range, which had been silent for a long time, beginning to move at this moment. They turned into numerous rays of light that hurried to the mountain top. This ancient remains is truly going to have an intense fight. Even Xiao Yang involuntarily sighed softly upon sensing the strength of these aura. The difficulty of trying to successfully obtain the Qian class Do technique in front of these many experts was quite large. It was not difficult to imagine just what kind of earth-shaking bloody battle would erupt in this Bone Mountain range in order to obtain the Qian class Do technique. The mountain peak that Xiao Yang's group was at was already near the middle of the mountain range. Hence, after a mere couple of minutes, a distorted space appeared in front of their group's eyes. Xiao Yang's body moved as he watched the distorted space a short distance in front of him. He landed on a gigantic tree. After sweeping his eyes, he finally realized that this place had a 500-kilometer large basin. However, the current basin had already been filled by countless number of dense bones. Looking from a distance, the sea of dense white bones appeared quite glaring. It caused one to feel as though one's paws would stand. At this moment, some densely packed human figures stood around the sea of bones. Numerous heated eyes stared intently at the distorted space within the sea of bones. Once that spatial seal disappeared, countless number of people would surge in continuously like a great wave. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the surrounding sea of people. After which, it paused over some areas. His eyes were a little solemn. After a brief glance, he discovered that there were at least 5 elite 3 stars Do Zun. A Qian-class Do technique does indeed possess an endless allure. Even elite Do Zuns are unable to withstand this allure. Xiao Yang sighed softly in his heart. He also possessed some desire towards the Qian-class Do technique. However, he also understood within his heart just how difficult it was to successfully snatch the Qian-class Do technique from this kind of place. The possessor of it would be a magnet for trouble. Even if an elite Do Zun was to obtain the Qian-class Do technique, whether he could successfully leave this Bone Mountain range would also be a question. I wonder whether my Annihilation Lotus Flame, or the Qian-class Do technique is stronger. Xiao Yang blinked his eyes. A curiosity also rose within his heart. Bang! This entire sky suddenly erupted into a slight ripple, while Xiao Yang was quietly thinking within his heart. The eyes of countless number of people suddenly turned towards the sea of bones. Some ripples had already been formed in the space there. The ancient remains was finally going to see the light of day again. Water flow like splashing sound was emitted when the space became extremely distorted. As this sound spread, the rippling of the entire space also became increasingly intense. Looking at the energy seal, which was becoming increasingly illusory under the ripple, the eyes of the countless number of people outside of the sea of bones suddenly had a bright redness appearing within them. Even their breathing had become a lot rougher. They slowly used a greater amount of strength on their hands, which were holding on to their weapons. Xiao Yang's eyes were narrowed as he looked at the increasingly distorted space. Amidst the strange splashing sound, he could sense a wave of extremely frightening energy ripple. This kind of ripple was unusually fierce. It was just like a volcano that was suppressed at the crust. There was a kind of crazy gushing feeling to it. Crush! Another strange crushing sound appeared. The distorted space suddenly became still. Immediately one could hear a strange bang sound. The distorted space was actually blasted into countless of spatial fragments, with a clang sound, appearing just like fragile glass. Charge! The ancient remains has been opened. The moment the spatial seal was blasted apart, the eyes of the countless number of human figures around the sea of bones immediately turned bright red. Their throat emitted a low and deep greedy roar. Their bodies became just like locusts flying by as they rushed explosively towards the middle of the sea of bones. Withdraw quickly. Compared to these people, who simply charge forward, Xiao Yang's expression changed when the space burst apart. He grabbed Zi Yang beside him, and his toes pressed on the tree branch. After which, his body suddenly pulled backwards. Little Fairy Doctor, and the rest also reacted quickly. They immediately pulled back without any hesitation. While Xiao Yang's group was pulling back, there were also quite a number of human figures from the surrounding large trees suddenly pulling back. Clearly, they had also discovered something. During the time that Xiao Yang's group was rushing back, the spatial seal fragments that had been formed from the blast suddenly paused. Immediately, one could hear a loud bang. A wild and violent spatial strength that would cause even an elite Do Zun to feel their heart palpitate, swept in all directions like a storm. Those who were the fastest to charge forward were the first to be struck by it. Within the blink of an eye, they were swallowed by the storm. Immediately, sharp miserable cries resounded on this sea of bones in a ripple-like manner. The wild and violent spatial ripple annihilated those people charging at the front like it was cutting wheat. Some of those experts, towards the back, had also finally discovered that something was not quite right. Hence, the originally forward-charging sea of people immediately turned around and fled in a miserable manner. The sea of bones appeared unusually chaotic at that moment. Bang! Due to there being some distance, the spatial storm was no longer able to cause any damage to Xiao Yang's group by the time it had spread over. At this moment, the couple of them finally sighed in relief. Their eyes swept over the place and saw countless number of figures rolling on the ground and screaming miserably. Bright red, fresh blood dyed a large portion of the dense white sea of bones. What a frightening spatial seal. It actually still possesses such a frightening offensive strength even after so many years. This is indeed worthy of being the remains left by an elite Do Xing. A surprised expression surfaced on the face of Little Fairy Doctor's group when they saw the destructive force that this spatial ripple had created. Let's go, these fellows are too anxious. They deserve to be unlucky. Xiao Yang smiled. He waved his hand and his body transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sea of bones. At the same time, the many experts, who had successfully dodged the spatial ripple earlier, also moved their bodies, transforming into numerous blurry figures that rushed into the sea of bones. The sea of bones was extremely vast. Only after Xiao Yang's group had rushed in did they discover that there was a towering mountain peak like large contour vaguely present within the sea of bones. Looking from a distance, it was as though there was an ancient fierce beast creeping under the sea of bones, causing one's heart to feel startled. Xiao Yang's group flying speed had involuntarily slowed greatly upon seeing the large contour. From the earlier spatial storm, they understood that this place was not a friendly one. If they were not careful, it was possible for them to even lose their lives in this place. Following their gradual approach, the white fog that was suspended within the sea of bones also gradually became thinner. That enormous thing also finally appeared in front of Xiao Yang's group sight. It was a large hall. It was a 10,000 feet large hall that appeared to be like a little mountain. Compared with this kind of large hall, the branch hall of the Hall of Soul that Xiao Yang saw the last time had become unusually tiny. A feeling of being tiny would suddenly be formed when one looked at this enormous thing that stood in this place. The large hall was bright red in color. Looking from a distance, it appeared as though a flame was rising from it, appearing exceptionally glaring amidst this dense white sea of bones. The surrounding experts were similarly absent-minded because of the vast size of this bright red large hall. It was a long while later before they recovered. They looked at each other and saw some shaken expression in each other's eyes. It was indeed worthy of being a place left behind by a Doshing. This grandness was indeed sufficiently majestic and mighty. Numerous figures gradually reduced their speeds, before halting 100 meters from the bright red large hall. The large hall appeared even larger when standing at this place. At a glance, the top of the hall appeared to reach into the clouds. No wonder it must be covered by a spatial seal. Such a vast hall would be a glaring existence no matter where it was placed. Xiao Yang involuntarily shook his head when he watched this bright red large hall. He led everyone to slowly land 100 meters away. That elite Doshing from the ancient times would actually build such an enormous remains. It was likely that he possessed quite a rich foundation. It seemed that this trip would not be wasted. At this moment, many experts outside the bright red large hall continuously arrived. However, no one chose to take the lead in stepping into the 100-meter radius. Those who could arrive at this place were all people from large factions, or who possessed great ability. Naturally, no one would be foolish enough to be the one leading the herd at this moment. Since these people were not Anxiu, Xiao Yang was naturally not anxious. It was likely that only a fool would believe that such a rich treasure did not have any defensive measures. While Xiao Yang was crossing his arms over his chest and waiting quietly, he suddenly sensed a pair of icy cold eyes being shot over. His brows was immediately lifted. He turned his gaze and immediately focused it on the origin of those icy cold eyes. The owner of those icy cold eyes was a lady in colorful clothes. Her noble demeanor set her off in a manner that no ordinary person would dare to directly look at her. Her phoenix-shaped hair had also added some nobility to her demeanor. Feng Qing'er. Xiao Yang's fingers could not resist rubbing against each other when he saw this familiar face. It was unexpected that he could see her in this place. Quite a number of people were clustered beside Feng Qing'er. The people from the Wind Lightning Pavilion were amongst them. At this moment, this group of people had clearly discovered Xiao Yang's group. A densely cold expression flashed across their eyes. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over this group of people. After which, they paused on a spot beside Feng Qing'er. There was a tall white-haired man wearing bright clothes at that spot. The man was around 30 or so. However, this kind of age was undoubtedly young for the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. This white-haired man was extremely handsome. His smiling face caused him to appear like a blessed person. At one glance, it was possible to tell that he was not an ordinary person. Qing'er, is that the person whom you have said to have the essence demon phoenix blood? At this moment, the white-haired man also glanced at Xiao Yang and laughed in a faint voice. Yes. However, it is unexpected that after having only not met him for a short couple of years, he had actually reached the Dozun class. Feng Qing'er gritted her silver teeth and spoke unwillingly. Cuckoo, Dozun He. After this, you will also be able to receive the inheritance from the tribe. At that time, it is not impossible to break through to the Dozun class. The white-haired man smiled slightly and whispered, "As for that Xiao Yang, just leave him to me. Regardless of whether he possessed the demon phoenix essence blood, we will know if we bring him back for an examination. Even if he had already swallowed the essence blood, we will also have a way to refine it from within his blood." Feng Qing nodded slightly. Although Xiao Yang had advanced to the Dozun class, she had quite a great confidence towards the person beside her. The latter had received the inheritance earlier than her and was extremely familiar in using the inherited strength. He could be ranked amongst the top 10 even amongst all the younger generation within the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. It should not be too difficult to deal with Xiao Yang. "Humph, there is a path to the heavens which you refuse to take. Instead, you have chosen to barge into hell, which does not have a road leading in. If you have remained in the central plains, I might not be able to do anything to you. However, you have delivered yourself here. In that case, do not blame this miss for accepting it." The cold glint flashed across Feng Qing's pretty eyes, as she laughed coldly within her heart. In the face of this icy cold gaze that Feng Qing shot over, Xiao Yang merely took a glance at her before withdrawing his eyes. He could sense the killing intent of that white-haired man towards him. Xiao Yang was only slightest surprised at the latter reaching the strength of a Dozun at such an age. The Heaven Demon Phoenix was not an ordinary magical beast. Being in possession of the ancient Heaven Phoenix bloodline, they also possess many ways to greatly increase the strength of their tribe members. On the whole, however, this kind of strength that was obtained by relying on their inheritance ultimately had some gap when compared with his strength, which was obtained from training. This kind of difference was not obvious when one looked at the surface. However, some clues would be revealed when one fought with others. With Xiao Yang's current strength, he basically had the confidence of being victorious when meeting anyone from the younger generation, as long as it was not some specially abnormal existence. Back then, this was the case with Yi Chen. Currently, it would be the same with this white-haired young man. Xiao Yang shifted his eyes from Feng Qing. He looked around him and the expression on his face became a little interesting. This was because he had actually discovered quite a number of familiar faces from the various large factions that had arrived from all directions. Moreover, there were quite a number amongst them that had a great enmity with Xiao Yang. Wind Lightning Pavilion, Heaven Demon Phoenix Tribe, Ice River Valley, Profound Xian Sect. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over these factions with an enmity against him. In an instant, he involuntarily shook his head and sighed. This time around, he has really entered the wolf's nest. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over those enemies from the past one after another. His heart also let out a wave of bitter laughter at this moment. It was unexpected that these fellows would all be here. While Xiao Yang was watching this group of people, the latter had clearly also discovered his observation. Numerous eyes immediately turned over quickly. Their expressions underwent various respective changes. "Humph, it is unexpected that we can still see this little brat here." Bing He Zunja from the Ice River Valley stared at Xiao Yang. There was a densely cold glint vaguely flashing within his eyes. Back then, he could only withdraw because he was afraid of the Jiyu clan. Otherwise, Xiao Yang's group would have long since been successfully captured by him. Currently, all sorts of people have gathered here. If I have the chance after entering the remains, I might be able to attack. At that time, as long as I do it secretively, even the Jiyu clan would no longer be able to observe it. Bing He Zunja gently turned the snow-white storage ring on his finger. There was vaguely some killing intent surfacing on his face. It really is the case of enemies frequently crossing path. He is actually able to meet this brat in this place. Hey, without the protection of the pill tower, the old me really wished to see how you can do anything earth-shaking. A ferocious expression flashed across the face of the chief of the Profound Xian Sect Shen Tiannan, while he muttered quietly within his heart. Although these fellows hid very well, the vaguely present killing intent was still sensed by Xiao Yang. He knitted his brows slightly and felt a little troublesome. He was unafraid if it was just one of these fellows alone. However, if they were to join hands, things would become a little troublesome. It is unexpected that I have unknowingly created so many enemies. Xiao Yang and Little Fairy Doctor exchanged glances with each other. Their expressions were a little helpless. Originally, he did not intend to create so many enemies. However, due to various different reasons, he had ended up becoming enemies with these large factions. This was indeed something that he felt extremely helpless about. "Hey, Xiao Yang. You are really here." A surprised, delicate voice was suddenly transmitted from a short distance away, while Xiao Yang was feeling helpless. Xiao Yang was startled. He raised his head, only to see a red-dressed woman using a pair of beautiful large eyes to stare at him. The latter's beautiful appearance gave Xiao Yang a familiar feeling. Tang Hua. Xiao Yang's mind churned slightly and immediately recalled her. His brows was immediately raised. Since the young miss of the Burning Flame Valley had arrived, it was likely that the chief of the Burning Flame Valley, Tang Zhen, should also have come. Xiao Yang's eyes turned as he thought in this manner within his heart. He immediately saw the red-robed Tang Hua, who was beside Xiao Yang. The old man, who was full of smiles, was surprisingly the chief of the Burning Flame Valley, Tang Zhen. Young friend Xiao Yang, it has been a long time since we last met. You still appear as fine as you have always been. Tang Zhen laughed in front of the eyes of many experts around the. He led the experts from the Burning Flame Valley towards Xiao Yang, cupped his hands together and laughed. Valley Chief Tang is too polite. You have become stronger with age during these few years that we have not met. Xiao Yang did not slight Tang Zhen, as he hurriedly replied with a smile. The Burning Flame Valley could be considered one of the higher-ranked large faction within the Central Plains. Tang Zhen was also a renowned expert. His action would naturally attract the notice of quite a number of people. Hence, Feng Qing'er, Bing Hezunja and the rest involuntarily knitted their brows when they saw this scene. None of them had expected that Xiao Yang would possess such a relationship. Within a short 2 years, you have not only become the champion of the pill gathering, but has even advanced into the Do Zun class. This swift speed caused even the old me to feel ashamed. Tang Zhen acted as though he did not notice those gazes. His eyes swept over Xiao Yang and sighed. What he had said was some heartfelt words. When he had met Xiao Yang for the first time back then, the latter had only just advanced into the Do Zone class. However, the next time they had met, Xiao Yang had already successfully advanced to a Do Zun. This kind of training speed was indeed something that no one could match. Xiao Yang did not reply to Tang Zhen's sigh. He merely smiled, changed the topic and laughed. Has Valley Chief Tang also come, because of the ancient remains this time around? Ancient remains are quite rare, and the things left behind by an elite Doxing are even rarer. Since the remains has appeared, I will naturally need to come and have an eye-opener. Tang Zhen laughed. His gaze randomly swept around him. With his sharp old eyes, he was naturally able to tell that quite a number of big factions present had some enmity towards Xiao Yang. Young friend Xiao Yang, your current situation does not seem to be quite good. My luck is bad. Xiao Yang waved his hand and spoke in a casual manner. If there is anything that you need help with after entering the remains, you can just ask me. Back then, you have helped the old me refine a fire bodhisattva pill. The old me still owes you a favor. Tang Zhen softly replied. If it really comes until that stage, Xiao Yang will definitely come and seek your help. Xiao Yang smiled slightly and gently nodded. The reason Tang Zhen was willing to help him offend these strong large factions was partly because of the favor from the pill refinement back then, but a larger part was likely because of Xiao Yang's other identity. An 8-star alchemist guru, and the pill-gathering champion. An alchemist guru was an existence that many large faction would fight to draw over no matter where he was. A pill refinement favor might not be sufficient for Tang Zhen to step forward at this moment. However, if one added this alchemist guru status, it would be sufficient. The Xiao Yang from back then might not be truly viewed by Tang Zhen like an expert of the older generation. However, the current Xiao Yang already possessed the qualification to be viewed seriously by Tang Zhen. Of course, it was difficult to tell whether things would develop to that stage. Although many powerful people were currently looking at Xiao Yang in a malicious manner, it would be difficult to say just who would win if they were to really engage in an all-out fight. Moreover, all of these fellows wanted to obtain the Qian class Do skill from the remains. Hence, it was unlikely for them to engage in a bloody battle with Xiao Yang's group before they obtained the Qian class Do skill. After all, they still needed to preserve some strength to snatch the Qian class Do skill. Additionally, if the Qian class Do skill eventually fell into their hands, they would have even less time to come and find trouble with Xiao Yang's group. This was because there would be an even larger number of people finding trouble with them. Therefore, despite this situation appearing quite dangerous, it did not reach the point where Xiao Yang needed to beg for help. Xiao Yang smiled as these thoughts flashed across his heart. He raised his head and swept his eyes once around him. Currently, The large hall had been occupied by a black mass of human sea. Moreover, based on the momentum, there seemed to be an endless human flow gathering here. Even though this was the case, no one dared to easily step into a 100-meter radius of the large hall. Bang! This kind of stalemate continued for around 10 minutes before the land suddenly trembled swiftly. The large hall, which had been void of any activity, suddenly created a loud rumbling sound. Immediately, everyone saw a bright red stone door that was weighed in tons suddenly being slowly opened. A dark black tunnel was revealed behind it. The entrance has been opened. The eyes of quite a number of people immediately reddened upon seeing this scene. Some people could not control themselves. They immediately moved their bodies and appeared outside of the tunnel within a couple of flashes. Immediately, they charged in amidst a loud laughter. The sea of people immediately turned into an uproar when they saw someone leading the way. Numerous figures flashed swiftly as they charged into the tunnel. Looking at that manner, it seemed that they were afraid that the treasures inside would be snatched by others before them. Compared to the recklessness of these people, Xiao Yan's group did not make any move. If it was so easy to barge into the remains left behind by an elite Doxing, it would indeed be far too much like child's play. The truth was indeed as Xiao Yan had expected. Soon after quite a number of people had charged into the tunnel, the dark black tunnel suddenly turned bright red. The hard ground was slowly split apart. After which, everyone saw bright red boiling hot lava spluttering out from within. At the same time, the walls of that spacious tunnel also suddenly spat out numerous demonic blue fire pillars. Anyone who touched these blue fire pills would be turned into a pile of ashes before they could even unleash a miserable screech. This sudden unexpected change had basically caused the people inside the tunnel to completely disappear in an instant. Those people who were about to charge in hurriedly halted their bodies in shock. However, they were still directly knocked into it by the people pouncing from behind. Hence, a sharp miserable screech resounded immediately. The exterior of the large hall was once again chaotic. The chaos continued for a moment before things finally calmed down. They faced each other and the greed within his eyes finally became a lot fainter under the threat of death. Humph, a mere fire path actually wished to stop us. While everyone calmed down, those large factions finally began to act. This fire path might be dangerous, but it did not possess any lethal threat to them. Soon after these words sounded, one could see many majestic Do Chi surging out. Immediately, the Do Chi lingered around their bodies as they transformed into numerous light figures that rushed into the fire path with a sizzling sound. This time around, those fire pillars did not immediately incinerate their bodies when they shot onto them. Instead, it ended up in a stalemate with the majestic Do Chi. With the Do Chi defense, these experts also hurriedly rushed towards the end of the tunnel. Of course, there was no lacking of some unlucky people who were swallowed by the flame due to their Do Chi being unable to keep up with the expenditure. Young friend Xiao Yang, you are in possession of a heavenly flame. It is likely that this fire path will not be able to stop your group. Let's move. Tang Jun laughed after seeing everyone beginning to charge into the large hall. He waved his sleeve and the bright nine-dragon lightning flame surged out before wrapping around everyone from the burning flame valley. Xiao Yang also smiled upon seeing this. He nodded slightly and the purple-brown, colored 3000 lotus heart flame swept out from within his body. It swept around and encompassed little fairy doctor's group within it. Tang Jun by the side had a sudden change in expression when the 3000 lotus heart flame appeared. The 9-dragon lightning flame also trembled intensely. 9 fire dragons were vaguely visible on the surface of the flame. They were emitting a soft dragon roar, which contained some fear within it. This little fellow's heavenly flame, why is it completely different from the past? Tang Jun's heart was incomparably shaken as he looked at the purple-brown flame on Xiao Yang's body. This was the first time he had seen a heavenly flame that could cause the 9-dragon lightning flame to reveal such an emotion. Cuckoo, Valley Chief Tang, Xiao Yang shall enter first. Xiao Yang smiled. He ignored Tang Jun's shocked expression as he waved his sleeves. His flame dragged everyone and rushed out and charged into the incomparably hot fire path. This fellow, he is really frightening. Part 1 end here.